Welcome to Squatchin with Ned and Ricky. I'm Ricky. Ned.
Squatchin.
Squatchin. We're up here in Walcottsville, New York, Niagara County, at the foot of the Indian Lands, where we'll be looking for Bigfoot activity, or big feet, as they shall hereby be called. Big feet, does that sound right to you, Ned?
Got two of them.
Got two of them.
Gotta make them plural. We're making a left on Foot Road. Small wonder why it's called that. Hey! Look at that! Look at the Chinook.
Take the camera, Ned.
Why is it there? I can't see it. Can you see that Chinook helicopter? Come through the trees there? Where'd he go? Just there a second ago. It wasn't one of those black helicopters.
Tell us what you saw, Ned.
I saw a Chinook helicopter flying, you know, low and slow like they did back when I was in the service. And you know, I don't know why they'd be here. This is a residential agricultural area. It doesn't make sense. There's no military training areas. I mean,
Conjecture why you think it might be here?
I think it might have something to do with the Sasquatch sightings. Man, we got to get out there. We got to see if we can't put boots on the ground and see if we can't find some Squatch sign. But we're gonna come down here. There's a second gate. We're gonna come back into this woods. I've heard a lot of you know, knocking and rock throwing back this way last deer season, archery season.
Any clacking?
I'm hearing you could hear the distinctive sound of two rocks being hit, you know, back here.
And the fact that you know, we have public land here with some actually shooting ranges, you don't think that would explain the clacking?
Listen, man, I spent 11 years in the military. I know what the sound of a gunshot is, and I can tell you that they're not gunshots. And I guess, man, it's weird. You'd think that a place with this kind of pressure, squash wouldn't be around, but you're squatching these woods.
Let's go find them.
Let's do it. Looks. We're just out of the truck, maybe 5 minutes, and we're already on, you know, what looks to be deer sign. There's rabbits all over the place here. This time of year, it's probably a maternal kind of herd, maybe some doe, you know, some fawn. They're gonna come up and through this path here, and if Squatch has a diet anything like our own, he's probably gonna be looking for, you know, either sick, wounded, small, immature animals. And he would probably want to put himself on this path, this avenue of approach. So, I mean, we can't cut ourselves off to the fact that Squatch has to find food. You find Squatch's food, you find Squatch.
All right, Ricky here from Squatch with Ned and Ricky. Now, if you look here, this is obviously a blowdown. As you can see, the tree is going to, in the instance of a blowdown, it's going to kind of loads a can to the ground, because that's going to be the force of the top of the tree to bring it down. But, Ned, if you pan over here, we see right here is what appears to the uninitiated to be a blowdown, but why, I ask, is this broken about 7-8 feet off the ground? Could it be by chance that, I don't know, big feet are 8 feet tall? I can't reach that. If you come over here, I'm 6 feet tall, I reach up. So, you know, what we think would happen in an instance like this is maybe there was a Bigfoot in the area, even though there's, never mind the fact there's no footprints. This tree's obviously been broken for a while. So we're thinking that Bigfoot with his stronger upper body came and broke this tree at this point right here, kind of just bent it. I couldn't imagine the amount of sheer force that it would take to break that tree. Hell, I couldn't do it. But we're going to see these scattered throughout the woods, and there's really only one explanation for them. That is a large cryptid animal using his superhuman upper body strength broke that tree at that point. What do you see there, Ned?
Hey, just you know, just a little observation here. We're seeing those limbs up there bent, and you know, the bark is coming off. You know, a lot of people are going to think that that's probably fungus or some sort of tree disease. I've been reading and hearing from other sources that, you know, oftentimes a juvenile Squatch is going to go up there and you know, practice his limb bending techniques. What a lot of people don't, you know, think about is the force that it takes, and it's got to generate a lot of heat. And there's some theory that Squatch
Rubbing them by
are going to
friction.
rub it. A lot of things in nature is going to rub sticks. That looks to be about the diameter, a little smaller than a baseball bat. I think the Squatch would do something like that. Probably go about 5'6", 5'7". Couldn't be more than maybe.
So juvenile Squatch for sure.
I would think prepubescent. We're dealing with a Squatch population that's probably pretty young.
Now we just came across this here. As you can see, there are these tracks here. Look to be squirrel tracks. Get the little squirrely hands. They look to be panicked. So something is obviously chasing this animal. Now whether it's a smaller kind of predatory animal, could be the case, but it's probably more likely that there is a big foot in the area, or possibly some big feet. And when these smaller critters kind of catch wind of Bigfoot, they're going to scatter from the area. And typically this is kind of the pattern that you're going to see as they run. It's obviously running at a pretty good clip, and we'll follow these and follow these back and see where they're coming from. But I think we're onto something here, Ned.
I think so too.
Wow.
Better stay on them. We're back here. We're catching more of these. Looks to be squirrel or some sort of small rodent tracks, and they're everywhere, and they're moving fast. Something's driving them. We're gonna see if we can't get down the.
This is pretty unbelievable. Have you ever seen anything like this?
I spent a lot of time in the woods. The monks and the squirrels they'll buzz around pretty good, but I don't know. I don't ever really see them in this kind of numbers.
This linear pattern as well. Something's up here. We'll get to the bottom of it.
I don't know if they're following a ley line or what.
Wow. Ned.
Yeah.
Get a shot of this. As we're walking by, you made a mistake that a lot of people would make, and you looked at this and you said, "Wow, it looks like a fresh deer track," and I can absolutely see where one might think that. But step back, take a look at where we are. We're surrounded by these birch, and this, as we all obviously know that Bigfoot come to these areas to peel off the bark to use as a fire starter.
Yeah,
Now,
I've done that too myself.
While it's in the area, what it's also going to do is going to search the area for a food source. Now, as we know that insects in the area are going to hibernate. They're going to go underground. They're going to slow their body temperature.
Well, what are they going to hide out there in that decomposing matter?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly
Okay.
what they do. All right, so as we walk through here, I was just telling you guys about this being a natural kind of setting for Bigfoot to come and collect tinder, collect kindling. And what Ned here is going to do is going to explain to us, what Bigfoot does when he's in the area and how he kind of locates his resources.
So Ned, why don't you explain to us what we're looking at here?
All right, so here's the deal. Now, this is all very, very theoretical science, but we know it's a fact in science that insects live in decomposing matter. They're the huge part of the ecosystem. And we also know that insect life slows during the winter months. This decomposing matter is a great place for them to retain body heat. And when they do kind of awaken on warmer days, they start to feed. Bigfoot knows this. And you're talking about with thumbing the hole, what he's going to do is he's going to get down in there.
But he's using his thumb, correct?
Of course, he's using his thumb. My hands are nowhere near the size of Bigfoot's hands. And he's going to make his way through this material, right? And he's going to find a grub. And grubs, we all know, are nutriently dense, a lot of protein. Squatch is going to need, I figure a Squatch, 500-600 pound Squatch, he's got to eat, 8-10 pounds of whatever a day, and he's going to have to look for it. And being next to the birch there, the deciduous tree, lots of, really good decomposing, biological matter. So there's going to be tons of grubs all through the floor here.
What he obviously does is he's going to suck his thumb.
Ricky, I know we're dealing with theoretical science, and there's no such thing as a bad idea, and we've got to defer judgment. But I'm just going to ask you quickly, just in the time that I've had my glove off, being a mammal, my hand is starting to get cold. I don't think Sasquatch, Bigfoot, going to suck his thumb, at least not for this purpose, at least not in this weather. Maybe he'll do that like when he's scenting during the mating season, but I would think an animal of his size would generate an enormous amount of body heat. He would probably just armpit it and, and get it warm that way in order to do it. I couldn't see him sucking his thumb.
In this context, because obviously in the literature, big feet suck their thumbs at certain points in the mating season, like you said,
Right.
ritualistic mating.
But
There's times when their thumbs
are engorged.
So, Ned, what we're talking about here is not something that has happened, but something that probably will happen. As you can see, this tree, from its structure, this is a tree that can be bent. And surprising to me that hasn't yet been bent. So we're going to keep an eye on this tree. We'll probably kind of revisit this area, but we're going to kind of earmark this tree as one that, like the one we saw earlier in this video, I could say about a week or two from now when we come back, this tree most likely will be broken about 7-8 feet off the ground.
You know what? I think maybe Bigfoot's going to do that to mark a place where he's found food, because this isn't too far away from where we saw the thumbing hole. So,
Right,
you know,
right.
even though you and I both disagree on how and why Bigfoot heats his thumb, gets that erectile tissue to work, but I mean, that's what science is, man. Science is messy. We came out here, we agreed on everything. We wouldn't be doing our job.
In the Bigfoot community, as the rule goes, if it hasn't happened yet, just give it a minute. It probably will happen.
Right on. All right.
It really is amazing how miraculous it is out here.
Well, you know what I'm saying. When you get out here and you check and you see what nature is, I'm reminded by that great ICP song, Miracles. You know, when Shaggy says, you know, that I see miracles every way, I see miracles every day. I mean, think about this. Where are we, man?
Magnets.
Magnets, right? How do they work? But when we're out here, we're looking for Squatch, we're finding sign. I mean, sign that people are just missing. Like, look at that stack of sticks over. Come get close. Right, look at this. This to us looks, like you say, the uninitiated. That looks like that just fell off the tree, but you know what this is?
That's stacking. That's
a
ritualistic stacking.
It is stacking, but we got to think about what's being stacked. These are Squatch grub sticks. Like the pioneers heading west, they carry a grub stick, and as gross as it sounds, our ancestors would root through decaying wood to eat those same grubs that Squatch is thumbing for. Right? If he finds what he's thumbing for, he's gonna stack it, because Squatch wants to come back and find his food source. You find his food source, you find Squatch. Call him Sasquatch, call him Bigfoot, just don't call him late for dinner. That's a good scene.
Oh, dude, I was gonna roll it right.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, we're finding it everywhere out here. This is, oh, wait, what is that?
No, that's not.
I don't know if it's big enough.
Ned, is that big enough? Is that a Bigfoot hole?
Check this out. Come on. Get that in there, man. It looks like some sort of den or something. I don't know if it's big enough for a full-grown Squatch, but maybe a recently, you know, roosted juvenile kicked out of the nest. I mean, I could definitely see Squatch.
Climb in there.
I don't know about getting in there, man.
What else is living? Let's see, once a Squatch abandons his hole,
Right.
God knows what else is climbing in there.
Yeah. Holy cow. That's definitely something.
Wow.
I mean,
This is something you don't see very often here. Would you say that we've come across something?
well, pan out. Get how big this is all the way to the back.
It's almost like a cave structure.
Right. Like, so I think what has happened here is Squatch has taken the opportunity of this wind-felled tree. Oh, did you hear that? Did you hear that? That's a gunshot, right? I can recognize a gunshot. That's a gunshot, right? It sounded nothing like clacking rocks. Nothing. See? And it's obviously a guy sighting in, zeroing his rifle for hunting season. We don't hear that when we hear rocks. It's a different rhythm. All right? So all you people out there that, you know, you think, oh, that's gunshots. It's not. Gunshots are a discernible pattern. Bigfoot is on his own rhythm.
Back to this hole here.
Oh, man, this hole.
So are you telling me that, would it be fair to say that Bigfoot's a lot like the Viet Cong, just a little bit bigger?
You know, it's funny. I don't know if he's like the Viet Cong, but the Viet Cong.
Do we have an underground system of tunnels here? That's the
You know,
question I'm asking.
Ricky, I think you're on to something that you don't even understand. Southeast Asia, they're the last known giant hominid. Gigantopithecus, the big 10-foot gorilla relative, lived there, and he probably did teach the Vietnamese, who did burrow underground during the war to protect their, their battalions and their medical
Because they're not
facilities.
just coming up with it on their own. The Viet Cong aren't just thinking, we're going to build some tunnels.
Think about human beings around the world. We live above ground. We are not burrowers by nature. something had to interdict our evolutionary thought process. It's probably Gigantopithecus, and you know, when we find Squatch, we're gonna find out that there is a linear,
We'll ask him.
genealogical, you know, record from Gigantopithecus all the way through to the common Bigfoot, the North American Bigfoot.
You sure you don't want to climb in there?
Oh, you couldn't pay me, man.
We don't know what's in there. Could be Bigfoot.
Who knows?
Now, I'm really just amazed at the amount of Bigfoot or big feet activity that we're seeing out here today. Now, this right here, clearly. Pan down here, over here, Ned.
Yeah, I got it.
This is the top of the tree.
Right? Why is it on the bottom?
I don't know. I don't know. Now,
Jimmy.
typically when a tree falls,
Watch yourself, buddy. Watch yourself.
watch yourself. The bottom is going to stay close to the ground.
That would make sense.
Makes a lot of sense. But here it's almost like it was placed. Like something wanted to mark this territory. So
Right.
it actually picked the tree up and turned it upside down.
Right, because
Now there's a couple holes here which could be made by a woodpecker. Can
yeah, I'll get it
Here,
closer there.
look at these holes here.
Oh.
Now those could be made
Yeah, but that's almost too symmetrical.
two cement. No, watch this.
Son of. Oh my God.
Or wait,
There you go. There we
warm it up, stick it in there.
go. Warming it up.
Now, I could see no other rational explanation as to why this specific tree is going to be placed, and I use that word very deliberately. It's going to be placed in this position with these two unexplainable.
Why two? Why not just one? I mean, that's got to be something.
He obviously didn't find what he was looking
No,
for.
and you know what else, Ricky? I've noticed the bottom of that tree is right there. I have never known a wind to break a tree, lift it, and then set it opposite to where it was.
Now, again, just what is this?
It's a birch tree. Man, that is something.
Ned, well, I can't help but notice that you're speaking French Canadian now.
Right. You know, looking back on the historical record, the first Europeans that would have been present in this part of modern-day Western New York would have been either French fur trappers or the itinerant Jesuit preachers. I did a lot of research on the itinerant Jesuit preachers, and there are records of things they could not explain in the woods. And since the superstitious nature of the Jesuit and the Native Americans kind of coincided, the Jesuits made it a point to keep whatever that was kind of placated and at bay. So they would offer greetings, and that's why I'm yelling it in French. Bonjour! Bonjour! Now, I know it's really difficult for a human being to match the depth and, you know, just the resonance of a Squatch voice. I'm a big guy. I weigh about 250 pounds, do a lot of running. I've got good, strong lungs, so I'm going to bring it from the diaphragm. Bonjour! Bonjour! And it's got to be a little more animalistic. I mean, you can't just use your regular voice. So that's what I'm doing. And, you know, maybe I'm not making contact, but I am letting Squatch know that, hey, I'm in the woods. I'm not a threat to you. And, you know, if we're going to have an interaction, let's have an interaction in a pleasant way. That's what I'm doing. Does it make sense? Bonjour! Oh, Ricky, get this. Ricky, get this.
I'm on it, Ned. I'm on it.
What is? You've got another thumbing hole.
Oh,
Like,
wow.
no deer tracks ahead. Over here, look at, there's none over there, right? That's a thumbing hole. Look at that, holy cow. Look at all that decomposing matter. Squatch is onto something, and this is fresh. God. Holy cow. Look at this.
Can you explain to us? How do we know that this is not a deer track?
Because deer don't dig holes when they run. They run. This,
Do you see any more deer tracks in
Nowhere.
the immediate vicinity?
no. Really, I mean, this could really only be a thumbing hole. And judging by the size of that,
That might.
we might be dealing with a dominant male.
It's not quite big enough to be a fisting hole.
No, it's not a fisting hole at all, which is something they do in the springtime to mark their territory. A little known fact, they'll fist a hole into soft dirt, and then they fill it with a combination of their urine and fecal matter, and it allows the females to know that one, they're healthy, and two, they're ready to mate. So Ricky, what do you think would be bigger? Your lowland swamp Bigfoot, kind of like what we're seeing here, or maybe, one of those big Cascade Range, Sierra Nevada kind of Bigfoot.
Well, I think that's hard to say, Ned, considering nobody's ever seen one before.
Wow.
But working purely off of conjecture, I would have to say that the way that we're looking at these kind of flat plains up here in Niagara County, typically in terms of the deer growth, we do see bigger deer up in these regions.
In fact,
So
Bigfoot's and mammals, they have to follow kind of the same evolutionary patterns. But wouldn't you think
by
that?
extension, I would assume that the Bigfoot that we are
Right.
going to see here in the kind of western New York region will be much larger than those
Maybe out west. That makes
purported to
sense.
be seen out west.
Right. And size would have to matter in terms of retention of body heat. It gets really cold here. That makes sense.
Makes a lot of sense.
There we go. Here we are at the tailgate review. First time out, looking for Squatch sign. I think we found a bunch.
Well, we'll let the viewers decide on that. I mean, they can be naysayers if they want. That's their prerogative.
Right.
But I think the evidence that we presented today was pretty irrefutable that there's something out there.
Well,
We're not saying what it is, but odds are there's something
Right.
in those woods.
As an empiricist, I need to see things with my own eyes and touch them with my own hands. And I'd like to think that we've delivered at least some of that to the Bigfoot community here at the BFC. So, BFC peeps, stay strong, keep your Squatch on.
This is Ned and Ricky signing off.
We're out.